Obligatory. I am on mobile, so apologies for formatting. Warning, a lot of prelude to the actual event, told at the end. Several years ago I, then 19M, had the displeasure to work at a home improvement store, basically a big warehouse that people could come shop in. My place it is was deliveries, aka get things together for a customer to come up and get at a later date, as well as taking calls for large orders and organizing a truck that would show up every morning and night to take bulk items to delivery sites. The job wasn't great, but I went for 3 months without major issue before leaving for a better place. The one instance that stands out amongst the 3 months is not later on but is from the very first day that I worked there. A bit of backstory to my first shift: at this company they had an interesting way of training you. Namely, they didn't. Oh sure, they had us watch a series of videos on safety and general ways to interact with the customer, but there was nothing specific to what I personally would actually be doing. The only training I had was from the guy I was replacing, telling me how to use the PDA phone to check what orders needed and how to use the information shown to locate items. That way I didn't have to know off the top of my head where things were. This meant that while my job took me to every aisle and outside to lumber and brick, I didn't ever have to memorize locations, and I certainly was never trained on item locations for customers. This leads to my first shift on the floor, where I was way out of my depth but trying my hardest. I was able to get most of my work done without being disrupted, and the few times that customers asked where items were, thinking that since I had a uniform I would surely know, they accepted that I was new and appreciated me directing them to someone who could help them properly. Not this guy, though, not this one guy who had an air of him like all the workers were beneath him. It is almost the end of my first shift, and I am happy to be going home. I am up on a ladder getting some items from the overhead storage in an aisle when this man comes up and asks where some specific pool item was. I do not recall which it was now. Of course I did not know, but I did know that earlier in the day I had picked up some pool supplies in the outer yard, not far away from where we were. So of course I tell him, sorry, I am not sure since I am new, but I believe they are location, you should check there. He proceeds to just stare at me. I ask him if he needs any other assistance, to which he replies that he does not, and asks my name, which I give him, not thinking much of it. Then he wanders off towards where I indicated and I don't think anything more of it. That is until right at the end of my shift, right as I am finishing filling some info out at the main customer assistance area, which is also where the computer I use it located. Right near the end I hear my name mentioned and I look up to see the man talking to my manager right near me. When he sees me looking, he just turns to me, looks me dead in the eye, and yells, "You have an attitude problem," pointing right at me. "How dare you not know where the item I needed was? You should have walked with me straight to it, not sat up on your ladder twiddling your thumbs doing nothing." I was incredulous, and all I could stammer out was that it was my first day on the job. He then proceeded to say that that was no excuse and that I was insert various insults to my intelligence that I won't repeat and that I should be fired for incompetence. This was my first time in retail, and I was absolutely dumbfounded that people would act like this in public. In the end my manager got him to leave, and told me that I shouldn't let it get to me. Clearly it did, as I still remember it years later. Don't be that guy, and always treat employees well at retail jobs, please. Bow. The best part was that he already had the item he was looking for when he was yelling, and it turns out the area I indicated was the right spot, so I don't know what the problem was in the first place. Told customer isn't happy. I don't know for sure where an item is despite it not being my job to know, and despite my guesstimate being correct he yells at me in front of a bunch of people that I am an idiot and should be fired, all on the first day of my job.